This is the Brew World Order Podcast.
Welcome to the Brew World Order Podcast. My name is Mike Hedin. If you haven't subscribed yet, well, hell, that's not cool. Do something about it. This is episode number 60, and yeah, I'm still at it. In this episode, I sit down with Hedin Chorney of Tailout Brewing Company in Castlegar, British Columbia. Hedin tells me how they wound up dealing with the COVID shutdowns right after opening, how their opening day stands out as a milestone for him, and tells us why him and his partners chose the location they did, Castlegar, British Columbia. Yes, that's right. That's Canada. Yes, that's right. Our neighbors to the north. And yeah, that's right. It's the first brewery that I interviewed outside of the United States. So yeah, that's right. I am cultured. So yeah, that's right. I am a fancy boy. Yes, that's right. Stick my pinky up in the air when I sip on a darn beer. And yeah, that's right. Should sit back, crack open a beer, enjoy the podcast, so I can stop talking like this. Hey guys, I'm Mike Hedin. This is the Brew World Order Podcast, and today I'm with Hedin Chorney, co-owner of Tailout Brewing Company in Castlegar, British Columbia. Hedin Chorney grew up in northern Alberta in a town called Beaver Lodge. When it came time to go to college, Hedin moved to Edmonton to attend the University of Alberta for biology. After graduating, he moved to Banff to work as a fisheries biologist at Banff National Park. While working at Banff, he also decided to get his master's in conservation biology. He was working for the federal government doing trout recovery for about 10 years before he decided he had had enough of not being his own boss. One night he was having some beers with some buddies that he homebrewed with when they decided, why not open a brewery of their own? Hedin and his friends had been making some small batches of homebrew beers for a while now and thought it was pretty good. After that, they went on their search for a town that was in need of a brewery. Their main focus was finding a town without a brewery that was adjacent to a lot of fun activities like fly fishing, hiking, and skiing, to name a few. The group, which included Hedin, Ken Christensen, Mike Davidson, Bruce Watson, and Travis Veerbeek, decided on Castlegar, British Columbia. They opened their doors to the public in November of 2019. And Hedin is here with me today. Hedin, how's it going?
I am excellent. How are you?
All right. Just dandy. You had opened up your brewery in November of 2019. COVID wound up being rampant around that time. Shutdowns and everything came about. How did you guys go about dealing with that being a brand new brewery?
Well, it certainly wasn't the easiest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
Right.
Basically, St. Patrick's Day of March 2020 was a full shutdown in BC for basically everybody.
Right.
So we basically laid off all our staff except for myself, and we were the only thing we were allowed to do here in BC was to do off sales. So basically, when we first started, we weren't really doing any packaged product. It was all taproom based.
Okay.
So we had an October steamer, and so I was in here canning about 30 flats a day, one can at a time, and then labeling them all. And so I think over the course of the summer till we started to reopen a little bit again, I think I canned 11,000 cans one at a time. So that's sort of how we switched.
Wow. Sounds tedious.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it sounds it. So you told me a little earlier why you chose the area you chose, because there had been no brewery in that area, and you wanted a lot of fun things around it, fly fishing, skiing, all that. When you finally found that location and decided to open, from the moment you found that location to the moment you actually opened the doors, what would you say was one of the hardest things for you to deal with?
Well, so there's a few things. I think the regulatory process was really difficult for someone who's never been in the industry. We leaned on a lot of friends that we made sort of in the course of construction, and they helped us through a lot of those regulatory hurdles.
Okay.
And then just doing construction, you go into a space and you have this dream and you envision what your brewery wants to look like.
Right.
And then actually making that happen is not always that easy. I mean, we did a huge portion of the work here ourselves, but there's definitely trades that you need to get involved, and just organizing that and then having the cash flow to pull it off is no easy feat.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, how did you go about finding the capital to fund your business?
So there's 5 main investors, and so we all put in a pile of cash, and then we have a business loan for the equipment.
Okay.
And then I was kind of just scraping whatever cash, we all had left near the end just to get the bills paid before we opened the doors.
Right. And what was that aha moment for you that actually made you want to open a brewery?
So I was living in Canmore, and a new brewery had just opened there, and my partner, she was a brewer there, and so just seeing sort of how they interacted with each other and how they interacted with other businesses, and just the lifestyle seemed sort of up my alley. I mean, breweries are, they're not dive bars. People are here to hang out and meet new people and go on adventures and talk about those things and just sort of be around cool people all the time. And that's what I wanted to do.
And after you, obviously, besides a pandemic, what was something you never thought you were going to have to deal with when opening a brewery?
Mass closures of the business, didn't really think I'd have to deal with that.
Yeah, right. I don't think anybody did.
I think the biggest one for me is just the constant amount of hurdles. It always seems like you pass through something that seems almost insurmountable, whether that's funding or say switching from just a tap room to a packaged product or whatever that may be. There's always another hurdle, and you always have to be constantly willing to learn. And if you're not flexible in the way you run your day-to-day operations, then you probably aren't going to survive very long. It's just a very fluid business.
Yeah. As far as qualities go, or quality, what do you think that you possess that makes you a good business owner?
Well, I mean, I think the way I treat the business is that it's a family. So we're a small brewery. We have 4 employees, including myself, and so we treat it as a family. And I think that reflects our customers can tell that we treat it like a family. We're very close. The way we interact with customers is the same as we'd like to be treated, and we're very inclusive. We like to talk about the things that we want people to talk about in here. So we go out and fish, and we go ski, and, we go 4x4 or whatever that may be, and
right.
All of our customers are into that as well. And you pair that with a couple delicious pints, and hard to go wrong.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a good time.
I hope it's a good time.
Yeah, right, for sure. And what do you think is one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far since opening?
Oh, man, I feel like there's been 1,000 lessons. A big lesson is something you think is potentially easy. Like, I don't know about other breweries, but I mean, so definitely something I've talked to, everybody sort of comes up with the idea, and it's like, how hard could it possibly be? And it's hard. So I've just learned not to overestimate or underestimate anything in this business. Some things you think will be a cakewalk and they're super difficult, and then other things you think are super difficult are going to be not so difficult. Adapting to constantly changing situations, but certainly those are just lessons that I literally learn every day.
Right. I'm sure you've come across many people in the beer industry, as you had mentioned before. Who do you think has inspired you the most in the beer industry, though?
Oh, man. These are hard questions.
I'm sorry.
We're super lucky in the Kootenays here to have a ton of breweries and a ton of really awesome people. So we have there's a brewery, Angry Hen Brewing, in Caslow, which is a small town north of Nelson, and they have helped us through basically everything since we started. They continue to help us now, and just people like them, just these kind-hearted people that are willing to lend a hand when you need it and to offer advice. That's kind of what really inspires me to also pass that on to other breweries. So we've helped some new breweries kind of come up and help with those same regulatory and hurdles or whatever questions they may have. And I think honestly, just knowing all these people who are super nice in the industry inspires me to also be super nice and helpful and just a better person. Right.
Yeah, almost like a big brother, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pass it on down the road.
Yeah, it's been so nice. I honestly, we wouldn't have been able to open without the other help of these people. So.
Yeah, right. Is there a moment for you that kind of sticks out that you kind of sit back and you're like, wow, we're somewhat successful, or we've made it? And also, how do you define success?
Well, there's definitely been a few moments in the brewery where I'm totally blown away, and you have to take a step back to sort of take it all in. So the first one would have been our opening day. We didn't announce it at all. We had cardboard all over our windows, and then we just took it all down and opened the doors. And 2 hours later, the place was packed, and it was packed for the whole weekend. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
That's super humbling.
Right.
And just the support of the community, definitely those sorts of feelings make you feel like you've made the right decision. And then, we did, after COVID, like I said, BC is sort of just slowly opened up again, and we had our second birthday party a couple weeks ago, and the same thing happened, just like opening. It was just so much support from the community that was in here, and we had, it was just an awesome day. And that, you take a step back and like, oh yeah, this, I made the right decision, and this is super cool. And then as far as gauging success, I mean, heck, there's there's a million ways to gauge success.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Just being open and surviving COVID is a huge success. And I think if you can survive something as catastrophic as a global pandemic and multiple closures and changing your business plan, I think that in itself is a success. And just being in a community that I didn't grow up in, and being embraced by the community as a business and as a person, that's also a huge success. That's what I always hoped would happen when we moved here. So yeah, I think those are the two big things. Right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a great feeling. And like I said, happy birthday, 2 years.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. But, I'm sure throughout the 2 years, there's been a lot of stressful moments and a lot to take in. How important is a mental break for you, and what does that look like?
Mental breaks are absolutely essential, and I admittedly haven't probably been taking enough of those. I don't know if any business owner has really been doing it over the last little bit.
Right.
But, for me, I do an annual steelhead fly fishing trip up in northern BC, and that's my huge reset. So I get ideally 10 days to 2 weeks of time away from my phone and away from computers and just totally unplugged. And it's just me out there on the river, and that is totally resets me. And I've been doing that for years before I even started the brewery. And I mean, any job you have there's stressful times, and you need to take a break. And it's important to recognize that you need a break. So, but it's hard. I mean, when things appear to be crashing all around you, especially with COVID, it's tough to want to take a step back and just say, hey, like if I keep going the way I am, I'm not only going to burn out, but the business is going to burn out. So being fresh is super important.
Yeah. You almost feel like you got to be resilient all the time and never take a break. But yeah,
you can't be.
There's a burnout.
You can't have the world on your shoulders all the time, right? And that's why it's important to surround yourself with really good employees that you can trust. And when you need that break, you can pass that on to the people around you, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing like having a trustworthy employee.
Absolutely.
And you said you've been open for 2 years. What do you think's been the biggest change in the last 2 years in the industry for you?
Well, there's a lot of change, but when we first opened, there was a lot of collaboration, and there was a lot of beer festivals, and I think that stopped a lot. Like we haven't had any beer festivals in BC for 2 years now, and those sorts of events really bring the beer community together, and I think we've been totally missing that. As far as business-wise is concerned, there's been a huge switch to packaged product. So prior to COVID, probably 90 to 95% of our sales were just in the tap room, and now we're probably about 50-50 tap room to our outside can sales. So that's cool. A huge shift in how we operate, and I think how the industry is operating in general. Like, I know that's not just us that's made that shift. So
right, yeah. And this is my favorite question. What was your gateway beer into the craft beer world?
Yeah, there's been a few. So when I was first doing my undergrad, I was working for this guy, a good friend of mine now from Idaho, and he brought up all these fancy beers that I'd never had before. You know, I was drinking Molson Canadian and
Molson
around here, and then he comes up with all these American style IPAs.
Right.
And so that's really what changed sort of the way I thought beers were. So probably my first beer that I can think of that sort of totally changed things for me was I had a triple IPA from Pike Brewing in Seattle, and that was pretty intense and pretty wild.
Yeah, right.
And that sort of got me on the IPA train. And now, of course, there's millions of IPAs, but those big West Coast IPAs are changed things for me for sure.
Yeah, right. There's a little extreme to go from from Molson to a triple IPA, man. That's intense.
You may as well go all in, right?
Yeah, right. 0 to 60. That's great. So what's next for your brewery? What does the future look like for Tailout?
So I think the thing for us will be expansion within our space. For now, right now we have 5 10-hect fermenters and 2 10-hect brights, and so we're looking to get a few more fermenters this winter. We probably only have space for maybe 3 or 4 more total, so we'll probably do 2 this year.
Right.
And then sort of start to expand our range of can sales. So right now we're just in the West Kootenays, and we're pretty much selling all the products we can. So hopefully with a few extra tanks, we can get into the Okanagan and expand our range to people. And then in the tap room, we just want to keep making this sort of the place to be in town and have lots of concerts and events. And yeah, I mean, I want the tap room to be bumping every night if we can swing it. So
yeah, absolutely. If you can have a party every night, yeah, I'm sure that'll be really good for business.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know too many people that party on a Wednesday night, but if you can find them, God bless you.
Hey, we got a college here, so there's some partiers on a Wednesday night.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I imagine so. And if somebody came to you and asked you for advice for opening their own brewery, what would you tell them?
There's probably a few things. I would first say to make sure whatever number you come up with, probably triple it.
Okay.
How much you think you're going to spend.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I think that goes across the industry. And just, when I first started, I had thought, this will be a lot of work. It was way more work than I had ever envisioned. So you can't go into this business with sort of 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land. You gotta jump in, and you have to be fully immersed in it.
Right.
And if you don't do that, you're not going to make it.
Yeah. And did you happen to have a funny story for us?
Yeah. So I was out doing deliveries one day, and I come back to the brewery, and I open the door, and it's pretty early in the day. So I think there's maybe 3 people in the tap room, but one of those guys is another brewer at Roslyn Brewing, and he comes up to me and is like, "There's like something going on in the back." So I walk to the side door of the brewery, and there's all this purple liquid spilling into the tap room. I'm like, oh no, what's happened? And they were transferring a elderberry lemonade sour.
Oh, Jesus.
And the assistant brewer took the wrong tri clamp off, and there was 300 liters of beer all over the floor, and it was just, everything was purple. She was soaked. Our brewer, Mary, she managed to get a valve on there and close it, so we didn't lose a ton of product. But our assistant brewer, she was covered head to toe in elderberry lemonade sour, and there's so much she had to sit on a crate and take her boots off, and they're just totally filled with beer.
Yeah.
So
I think I might have saw the post where she's emptying them out.
Yeah, that's the one.
That is okay.
So Yeah, it was quite the surprise. Yeah, so if anyone wants to check it out on Instagram, it's definitely on there.
Yeah, so she didn't look like Grimace, but she did get soaked. Gotcha.
She did get soaked. She was fairly miserable for a couple hours, that's for sure.
I imagine so. I have a little segment, quick fire 5 quick questions, beer related. Ready?
Yep, let's go.
Yeah. Somebody walks into your tap room. What's one of the beers on tap you recommend they try?
Single Spade IPA.
Single Spade IPA, okay.
It's West Coast style. It's awesome.
All right. Favorite brewery other than your own?
Angry Hen Brewing.
Angry Hen. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite style of beer?
I gotta go with the IPA.
Gotta go with the IPA, okay. Last beer that you drank that blew you away?
I had a really, really great orange-infused hazy IPA from Torchlight Brewing in Nelson. That was really good.
All right. And you have 1 keg of beer to hold you over for a 2-week quarantine. What beer are you choosing?
I'm going to probably take the Single Spade IPA, to be honest with you.
Yeah? All right.
I don't know. I don't know if it would last 2 weeks, though.
Hey, man. That's fine. If you can finish a whole keg in under 2 weeks, God bless you. Well, Hedin, that's all I have for you, man.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Mike Curtin for the Brew World Order podcast, here with Hedin Nelson Chorney of Tailout Brewing Company in Castlegar, British Columbia. Thank you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to my interview with Hedin Nelson Chorney of Tailout Brewing Company in Castlegar, British Columbia. Whether you're passing through, you live in the area, or just visiting a friend nearby, please, check them out. Also, give them a follow on any one of their social media outlets. Every other Sunday, I'll be releasing a new episode, so subscribe and you'll never miss one. At least I hope not, because I love when you listen. Also, be sure to check us out on social media, because, we need the followers as well. I'm Mike Curtin for the Brew World Order podcast. You stay safe out there.